Hello, welcome to our program. We are at the Zambian Embassy in Ankara, in Turkey, and we are with His Excellency, the Ambassador of Zambia, Mr. Joseph Kirengi. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for allowing us to Zambian land. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Let me also welcome you to Zambia, and good to see all of you. At the same time, I think before I say anything, it's important to mention that today is a historical day in which we are commemorating the genocide of Tutsis in our sister country, the Republic of Rwanda. And I think the message across Africa and beyond is that never again shall that ever happen on the continent or any other space. And so we are in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Rwanda. And to us, this is a very important day.
Thank you so much for that message. It's really very important that you have mentioned that. And we would like you to tell us about Zambia and Turkey. If you can tell us firstly how, when, or what time, or when the Zambian embassy was opened in Turkey.
Zambia and Turkey's relationship are quite new, I must say, but very exciting within a short period of time. Of course, the relationship dates back to a very long time through the Ottoman Empire and the Afro-Arab collaboration. But institutionally, the Turkish government opened their embassy in the Republic of Zambia in 2011. And we followed up as well as a country, Zambia, to officially open our embassy of the Republic of Zambia in Turkey on 28 November 2013. And this is 2019, so we are a 6-year-old embassy, but it has been an exciting time. And we are really understanding each other. I think it is important we are here, and we are very grateful as a country to be amongst our brothers and sisters. Very good people, very receptive. It's like we have the same culture. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm in a foreign country, and so it's an exciting place for us and our children as well. They like it. There is no other place better than Turkey. It has all the exciting tourist site, historical things. You can get them all in here. So this has been our journey between Zambia and Turkey, officially 6 years.
Just like you had said, 6 years since the embassy was opened in Turkey. Are you the first ambassador to come to Turkey?
No, and that's a very good question. I am the second ambassador. His Excellency Miriam Mlenga was the first ambassador, and may I take this opportunity to thank her and appreciate the work she did in laying the foundation. And after her tour of duty, I then came to take over from where she ended. And so I am the second ambassador so far since the mission was established. And it makes it very exciting in the sense that most of the things we are trying to do, our relationship structures and so forth, are all new. But it's important to mention that the Zambian embassy is not only, we also have extra accreditation to other countries. So while I'm ambassador in Turkey, I'm also ambassador of my country in the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. I'm also ambassador of my country in the Republic of Georgia, and also the Republic of North Macedonia, and the Republic of Azerbaijan. So it's a full plate. But you know, when you're operating from Turkey, Turkey is between civilization, and so they have really maximized the proximity within the space of civilization. And why not, as a country, also to benefit from that civilization which is in Turkey, for the benefit of my country and also for the benefit of the two peoples. Yeah.
You didn't tell us about how long you've been here. So I wanted to ask you if you enjoy Turkey, in which places you've been to. What about their food?
Today is the 9th. On the 17th of this month, I'll be 1 year. So I'm still a baby. I haven't grown. That's why I don't have beards yet. But I still have, God willing, enough time to go. But during this period, I think I have been able to visit some of the historical places in Turkey. Of course, an exciting place you can never mention, you can never miss to mention, is Istanbul. Every time you go there, everything is new. So you can't say, I know Istanbul, because it's like a multicultural center of the world. You know, everything is happening there, exciting place. Of course, I have been to Nevşehir and Cappadocia, looking at the various historical sites, very exciting, where Christianity, by the way, because many people outside think Turkey is only a Muslim country. No, it's an exciting faith country, I must say. And there is a lot of history about Christianity evolution and a lot of history in the Bible, all originating also from Turkey. So Cappadocia is one such good place, nice. I've been to Kayseri as well, skiing and so forth. I've been to Nani in Kars, on the border with Armenia, a very nice historical place, and also Kars, and went skiing and rafting at my age. And I won a medal, by the way. My wife won a medal as well for good rafting and riding in Kars. I've been to Erzurum, which is also another historical place. What is interesting is that these are places which are icy place, snow. And the question one would ask is, how then do people survive agriculturally? You know, and it was an interesting question to find out how they survive, because you can learn a lot from there. You know, the ground is covered with snow, so how do they grow their food there? But I discovered also that they have very nice cheese, which comes from Erzurum. We've been to Eskişehir, spent some days there, and so we are still on a journey to understand Turkey. Yeah. If you concentrate on, and you stop working because you want to be out and everything else. And also recently to Konya as an industrial hub.
Mr. Ambassador, you've told us so many beautiful places you visited in Turkey, and I think you enjoyed your time while visiting them. Would you tell us now about Zambia, socially and culturally? Introduce us to Zambian country.
My country is one of exciting social and economic places. If you go to Zambia today, and most of my colleagues from Turkey who have been to Zambia would want to stay more days, because socially Zambians are so interacting. Zambians are welcoming, they mix with everybody. It's a country that has also a lot of traditional ceremonies, which date back to various long centuries, which exhibit our values of the different tribes and our dances, method of growing food, and so forth. And these are major international calendars, by the way. The Komboka ceremony, the Lunda Lubanza, you know, the Semacha Lunda and others. These are exciting traditional ceremony, and Turkey and Zambia have signed a memorandum on cultural exchange. And so these are some of the things we expect to be there. But again, most exciting about my country is we have 73 dialects. You know, we call them, I don't know whether it's tribes or languages, but 73 languages. But these are grouped in 7 major ones. So the 73, when they are talking, within the benchmark of the 7 major, everyone will understand each other. But everyone asks us, how do we manage to live in harmony with this diversity of dialects and cultures and values? But that's what makes Zambia. We are passionate about humanity, and that's how we are brought up. We are passionate about respect for each other, and it's a country since independence that have never been to war. But of course, we have supported liberation movements in Angola, in South Africa, the upper side, in Namibia, in Zimbabwe, in Mozambique. But that is a justifiable act in international law, which is the right to self-determination. And we are happy that all our neighboring countries are now independent states with their sovereign right. And so this is what Zambia is socially and culturally. We enjoy fun. That's what we are. I think it is our strength as well. Yeah.
Mr. Ambassador, tell us about the economic sectors that are leading in Zambia now.
Yes. My country got independence in 1964. And we were colonized by the British. But I'm happy to say, and proudly so, on behalf of the larger population in my country, that we got our independence without throwing a stone. It was gotten through negotiation on the table. And so again, that is a unique value we have. On every difference that a country has, every time we always point to the table that let's go and sit. And those who resist to be by the table or on the table, then they become the menu. All right? It means that they are exhibiting strange characteristic of a Zambian. And that is how, whether socially or politically, everyone must undertake a value of dialogue and consensus. If you are not, as it is always said, if you are not at the table, then you become the menu. And so they become the subject because Zambians tend to detest that kind of behavior. But in terms of our economy, yes, we are a mining-dominated country. Copper is our main source of income, and we are the, I think, 5 or 6 largest copper-producing country in the world. Some of the biggest mines, you'll find them in my country. It's our major export, and it's our major source of our foreign currency. But apart from copper, we also have agriculture, which is a main employment sector. Larger population are employed in the agricultural sector, and we produce not less than 3 million metric tons of maize per year, and therefore we also export to other countries. But maize is our staple food, which I enjoy, and what is exciting that even when I come to Turkey, I still find this, and I can cook and make my own Zambian dish. And so agriculture is our mainstay. The population, I mean, the size of Turkey is 780,000 square kilometers. Zambia is 752,000 square kilometers. So it's almost the same geographical size. But we are 17 million, and Turkey is 80 million, almost in the same geographical space. What does that mean? It means that then we have enough land for agricultural production, and hence it becomes our mainstay activity, of course supported by mining, copper, cobalt, manganese, and other precious minerals are found in Zambia.
The president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, visited Zambia last year, which I believe you're also in that trip. What were the impacts of the trip from while the Turkish president was in Zambia?
Oh, my. Yeah, like you mentioned, for us, I think for all Zambians, it's the most historical time they have had. It's the first time a Turkish president was touching down on the Zambian soil in the history of our country. Not only that, whether we like it or not, Turkey is a center of international politics. It's also a center for international peace and security, global peace and security. And you see His Excellency President Erdogan arriving in Zambia in that usual style. We have never seen with the First Lady. Everyone thought it was just a dream come true, landing with his plane, with his brother, His Excellency Mr. Edgar Chagwa, President of the Republic of Zambia, and the First Lady waiting for him. Everyone was watching on television in Zambia, and the Turkish were watching on television. It was a one-day visit, but it was like a one-year visit. It was an exciting period to see the two heads of state sit and talk about various national, regional, and international issues. It was exciting because within that one day, 12 memorandum of understanding and agreements were signed between Zambia and Turkey. Agreement on avoidance of double taxation, meaning that if you are producing in Turkey and you pay tax on certain goods, you don't pay tax in Zambia, and similarly, the negotiations are going to start very soon. The joint economic cooperation agreement is going to start soon. Abolition of visa for diplomatic passport holders, then we will move to ordinary passport, moving very fast soon, would be realized. Opening of the TICA regional office in Lusaka in the shortest period of time, and I think in the next 1 month or so we should be doing that. The inaugural flight for Turkish Airlines for the first time, it was the second first time after the President Erdogan. For the first time, Turkish Airlines was also on its inaugural flight in December to Lusaka. It was such an exciting time, and high-level visit following that. So President Erdogan's visit to Zambia has opened up a lot of opportunities. That you may understand that the Southern African countries, which include Zambia, have not been very close to Turkey, but I must say that it's a priority on our President of the Republic of Zambia. It's a priority on His Excellency Erdogan. Very simple. He takes himself very simple, very admirable, and that's the way also the President of the Republic of Zambia does. So the visit is still memorable, and I think I must mention here that our President of the Republic of Zambia, His Excellency Edgar Chagwa, did send communication to his counterparts just to thank him and to remind him of that memorable visit, and that Zambians still talk about it even up to now. because it was not only a visit of political significance, it was a visit of economic significance. It was a visit of national, regional, and international dimension. It was a visit that brought two cultures together, the Zambian culture and the Turkish culture. It was a visit of two societal values, values in Zambia and the values in Turkey. And so it was something that I love talking about.
Would you narrate to us more about the trade relations between two countries?
Yes, I would narrate, although it's so disappointing, but that's why we are here, to talk about that. I mentioned to you that the two populations, the population of Turkey and the population of Zambia combined, is a combined population of almost 100 million people. But our trade volume is at $22 million, which is so uninspiring, so not so exciting, but it's the reason why we are working to improve that situation. And after the visit of President Erdogan to Zambia, the objective is to address the challenges relating to trade volumes and investment between the two countries. And we are working out various measures. Turkish airline flight is one such, and cargo will be added to that. And also the interaction, the Zambia-Turkey Business Council was launched, which is the private sector of Turkey and the private sector of Zambia. They have a joint committee working out to see how to do business. That is also expected to trigger a lot of trade and investment between the two countries. And both governments have rendered their support and necessary environment to the Zambia-Turkey Business Council. It's co-chaired by the DEC and Zambia Development Agency, which is our focal point institution that drives investment and trade in my country. And we are pushing to ensure that we have these the council working to increase the so disappointing volumes, but they're not disappointing, I must say. We are looking to target to reach in the next 4 years to reach a minimum of $2 billion, and that's our target. And we have the potential. We just didn't know each other. Now we know each other's potential, and we are looking forward. Our target as a mission is to have a minimum of $2 billion of trade in the next 3 years between Zambia and Turkey. And so, yeah, we are putting in place measures, and they are working very well. Turkish businessmen have made it very clear, men and women, that Zambia and Africa are of strategic importance. Africa now is not the same, just like my country is not the same. We have focused on overhauling our infrastructure development. We are modernizing the country for the new present generation and our children, because the current generation and our future children are looking for technology-driven environments, you know, and so we have established. His Excellency the President established an institution called Smart Zambia, which has to drive that innovation and technology to make Zambia a middle-income country by 2030. But looking at the speed we are moving at, I think we may be there even before 2030. We are overhauling all our infrastructure. The airports we used to use, our children look at them as nothing, and so we can't keep them. They are all gone. We are building new airport as part of the Africa we want. It's an obligation on everybody. we are overhauling everything and building new roads and connecting the country. You know, in the past, we used to be under certain structural, they call them adjustment programs, where they say you can only tie a road when you calculate its cost and its benefit. But we have taken it as a socio-economic benefit, not economic social benefit. And so all the roads in my country are being overhauled. Modern bridges, modern airports, modern secondary schools, because modern universities. You can't now take a child to a university which was built in 1964. Even to pass an internet line is a challenge. They are resisting. And so the aspiration is like the Turkish aspiration. Let's build a society for the present and future generation where innovation is the order of the day.
Mr. Ambassador, there is a Vision 2030 of Zambia. Would you tell us about it?
Yes, Vision 2030 is our national development framework. It's our aspiration that Zambia should aspire to be a middle income by 2030. And this is also inspired by Africa Agenda 2063, of the Africa we want, which is Africa which is for our children. We also need to mention that the Vision 2030 is actually the inspirational framework for Zambians. It projects their future, looks at their present, and also reflects of their past. And so every Zambian, as we are now, stands to understand where we are and where we are going. And if there's a challenge today, it's for a reason, because we want to get something better the following year. And so the Vision 2030 is also a developmental framework. It's the reference point for any development agenda that we initiate. Every ministry, every institution, every private sector, every individual, every household must think in their progress using Vision 2030 as a reference point, which draws its inspiration that we focus on infrastructure development, we grow our tourism potential, we ensure that we have modern infrastructure like airports, increased connectivity, both road, air and sea and rivers. And so it's something that makes us as Zambian, and we look forward to that, and we all work to achieve that vision. And we have a president now who is 22nd century president, because he's compliant, very compliant with the innovation and technology, which is a plus to this generation of youths, that President Edgar Lungu and his leadership are focusing on building a Zambia which is a Zambia for the current youth population and for the future generation. And it is also meant to lock itself within the international framework that our children should not admire a tarmac in London. We have to give them a tarmac to avoid this Africa-Europe migration when the opportunities are even better in Africa. And so our children must have a speed train, and you recall that under the Agenda 2063 and its projects, Africa has to build a rail line from Cairo to Cape Town. It used to be a dream during our grandparents. Now it's a reality. South Africa has completed its part. Ethiopia has completed. I think Kenya is moving towards Kigali and then Accra into Senegal and Dakar there. Sudan has to connect. Zambia is also using to connect to. So we are connecting Africa under the Speed Train project, which is a continental framework, but each country must be able to do and we are playing our part. Now we have started constructing a modern state-of-the-art flyover bridge and road decongestion project in Lusaka, which is going to compete favorably at global level. So we are inspirational because we have a leader, our president, who is inspirational. He understands what innovation and technology is, and that is his tool. And so we all are required to be compliant.
Zambia is very beautiful in terms of landscapes, and would you tell us about the tourism sector? You know, you have 8 countries, you border with 8 countries. Would like us to tell us more about tourism sector within the country? Zambia is very beautiful in terms of landscapes, and would you tell us about the tourism sector? You know, you have 8 countries, you border with 8 countries. Would like us to tell us more about tourism sector within the country?
Our tourism sector, of course, is not comparable to Turkey. Turkey is advanced, and we want to tap into that their strategy of advancement. But despite that, Zambia is also endowed with a lot of natural resources, which form part of our tourism master plan. One is, for example, the Broken Hill Man, you have read in history, is from Zambia, and we are struggling with those that got the Broken Hill Man to bring it back, plus all the money they have gained in ensuring that they have put it somewhere. The Victoria Falls is the largest man-made, it's called the wonder of the world in the world. It's found in Zambia. It's very, very important. The world doesn't want to end without first visiting Victoria Falls. Even you, your generation, I think it is part of that. As soon as your capacities allow, Victoria Falls is very important. We also have some of the biggest national parks and a wide range of wild animals. In Zambia, it's the only place where you can have what is called tourism and walking safari. You know, in other places you go to the park, you have to be in the car and then watch the animals. But in Zambia, in certain parks, you walk with a lion. You can walk with a tiger. We call it a walking safari. It's an important one. The big 5 are found in Zambia, and so we have, as a result of that, developed a tourism master plan with a lot of correlated and coordinated connections to each other, historical site, wildlife, etc. Even in terms of birds, I think the largest number of birds are found in my country. So the master plan focuses on, one, ensuring that tourism becomes the driver of our economy, because it is not a diminishing asset. You know, that's nature and so forth. And so the master plan complements the national development plan to ensure that the tourism sectors, places are opened up, the way Cappadocia is, the way Israel is, and so forth. And this is being supported. We'll soon be launching our national airline. And that's another exciting thing, which then is expected to bring a lot of tourists and also tourism within the country. And so you can't do tourism without visiting Zambia, because then you would have missed out on certain things that are not found anywhere in the world. Even our political system and political stability is also another tourist attraction, because when you come there, you have to understand why is it that these people, this is the way they do their politics, and although we have a few challenges there because of external influences, where they are using certain people to try to change our culture and value of where do we do our social and political things, but we are resisting, and we are resisting with a lot of force. And that's what my country is. Yeah.
like to also ask you about the foreign investment. You can tell us a little bit about it. You have new relations with different countries now, new embassies from the Balkans. Would you please tell us about investments in your country, the foreign investments?
Our foreign policy is anchored on economic diplomacy, and that's the core value of our foreign policy. That therefore means that economic cooperation and development cooperation becomes the key element in our foreign policy. And because of that, we all aspire to share comparative advantages in economies. Okay, what is it that we can offer to outside to our colleagues, to Turkey? What then does Turkey offer to Zambia? And so the opportunities that exist are the ones that are key to us. Like I mentioned, that in a political direction, and the president has made it very clear, our foreign policy is directed by an understanding that we shall make friends with anyone we feel can be a friend without making anyone an enemy. Okay, so if you have an enemy who is not your friend, please, when we are friends with that one, don't come and complain that why are you friends with my enemy. We are free, and that's the anchor of our foreign policy politically, that's to make friendship with anyone. Of course, not at an expense of creating enmity with another. Go and love that one and hate this one. It's not part of our value, and the world has to understand us that this is the way we live. And so our foreign policy is driven by our mutual economic interest, both in bilateral and multilateral settings. It's driven by sharing comparative advantages, because it's not that we have all what it takes, just like another country may not have what it takes. But I think we have been doing very well. We have relationship from the West to the Far East. We are relationship driven by our own internal continental policy agenda, the Agenda 2063, as a reference point also in our relationship with other countries. But of course, with Turkey, I must say, Turkey has a comparative advantage, and that's our view as a country, that their advantage is the quality that they bring to the table. It's the quality of their products, the quality of their services, and so they compete favorably amongst all our friends. And so to answer your question, yes, our foreign policy is driven by economic interests, and those economic interests must be on a win-win basis. We are not exploiters, and we have never been exploitative in our approach to friendship. Our approach, and the president of my country has made it very clear that in every situation, because we are all created in the image of God, everything we do, the other human being must also be able to benefit. Where you reap and leave the other one's disadvantage is not the value of our country. So we work on our diplomacy, economic diplomacy, on a win-win situation. And this is the cornerstone of our. And we have enough investment coming in, but not sufficient to absorb the kind of appetite we have in our country. Our country has a lot of appetite for investment. And you invest there with a lot of fresh air, so you will not be, because we have enough natural resources, we have enough land for every investor, and we are land linked, even if we are not by the sea, but with us, we are not landlocked. We are land-linked, and therefore movement is important. Zambia sits at the center of sub-Saharan Africa with the headquarters of COMESA, the Common Market for Southern and Eastern Africa, which rise from Zambia to Rwanda, Kenya, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Egypt, Libya, and beyond. And that's 19 countries with a population of 400 million. And so that's a big investment environment, and this is a common free trade area. And then we are also in the 14-member country, the Southern Africa Development Community, which is a 250 million population. And so we provide those advantages because these are all free trade area zones. And so these attract. And so with COMESA at its headquarters, now the African Union Economic, Social and Cultural Council, an organ of the African Union, is moving its headquarters to Lusaka. The Regional Secretariat for Sustainable Development for the UN is moving into Lusaka. The Speed Train project for Africa, connecting Africa, Lusaka has been chosen as the headquarters to produce the components, the iron and steel components for the train. And so it is a place everyone would want to think of in terms of investment because of its political stability. We offer a lot of incentives. We are now facing a challenge, of course, of energy security, but the government has put in place measures to increase production of energy. We are now doing with Zimbabwe the 2,400 megawatts Batoka power station. The group is coming here to Turkey to come and learn the best practices to do that we think. We are also going green, and now if you want to invest in solar energy in my country, you bring in your components duty-free as an incentive to you, so that we can meet our energy demands, because the investment, demand for investment is now outstripping. It's having a pressure on our energy security, and so we are working on that. And we are learning, sharing experiences with other countries like Turkey. In the next few days, they'll be launching their energy policy. And so those are some of the issues that which make key relationship win-win, because you can learn from the others the best way to do things.
You've been we've been good friends and in relation with Turkey for 6 years. Would you tell us about the projects you've been doing together or the ones you plan to do together?
Wow, there's a lot, and I must say that sometimes I'm even pitying my staff here, because the workload now is high. We are in a hurry to move development together. First, we have agreed with Turkey to support each other, especially my country, in the construction of gas reservoirs. Turkey has a lot of experience. They have one of the largest energy or gas reservoirs. The issue of energy, they have a lot of experience in mining, and so we are discussing in that regard. We are discussing collaboration in infrastructure. We are doing what we are calling a small airport program in my country, that each provincial headquarters must have a modern airport. We want to do away with our children. They look at us with bad faces when they see that we are still using things we used to call best. To them, they are not one. So there is that transformation, and Turkey is playing a key role. We've been discussing, like I told you, that TICA is opening the office, and that is the development cooperation arm of the Turkish government. And so we are discussing what type of programs Turkey and Zambia are going to work together. We are discussing support in infrastructure development in housing. we are establishing, the country has established additional districts as a way of decentralizing service delivery through the local government decentralization. And I think Turkey provides a very good model of decentralization. And we are discussing the infrastructure in the new districts and overhauling infrastructure in other areas. We have a deficit of 1.5 million housing units in order to meet our housing demands, and projected that within the Vision 2030, if we don't start addressing this, we'll have a shortage of housing of 3 million by 2030. My president would never allow such a situation. So we are working to see how Turkey can help. They have a good experience in small housing programs. You know, our culture has been we build mansions. And so the new generation that are coming from school and are finding it difficult to have housing, startup housing. And so, but here everyone is catered for, you know, small, compact, small housing for someone who has just come from university and who's just starting work. And so we are discussing that as also one of the major projects. And so our area with Turkey is not limited. The potential is very high, and there is a lot of discussion going on. We are discussing collaboration in the industrial and agriculture development. They have quite experience. While we have wide areas where production is like this, they have small areas but with high productivity. So that is, I think, the equation we want to change. That even when they don't have enough land, from the small land, they produce more than we produce on the bigger land. And so we want to tap into that agricultural mechanization process, but simple to handle by everybody. As you are aware, in Africa, in 2015, officially in Africa, we threw away the HOI as part of our CADIP, the Common African Position on Agriculture Development. We threw away the HOI because it's time-consuming, it's energy-consuming, productivity is there, and we decided to go small machine mechanization process in agriculture so that we can increase our productivity and create the necessary jobs for our youth. And so that is the situation we are in. We are trying, we are working hard, and we have two leaders that are hardworking, by the way. And I only thought it's my president who never rests, President Lungu. I used to admire where does he find his energy. But when I came here, I found also the other president, President Erdogan, who is always, every time working for people. And so to me, these two leaders, you know, I feel President Erdogan as my own, because I know this is also the way my president is, and he's working tirelessly to better society. And it's very rare to find such leadership, but in most cases, when you are very productive, some people do not want, because then you are not going to beg from them, and we don't want to be a begging country. And so those are the opportunities that exist for us, and we work to better our country. And Zambia is not the same, and it will never be the same from today onwards. And I think we have made that decision. It's modernization, innovation, and technology all the way.
Mr. Ambassador, I wanted my last question to be about football. Zambia is very famous on our African continent about football. Would you tell us what's happening now, and how is the football going on? And the African Cup of Nations, how is it?
Yes, you are right to say Zambia is, you know, we are known as copper producers. And then the copper bullets which are used in the gun. And so our national team is called, they are called in English, the copper bullets, but we call them the Chipolo Polo. And we have made our mark as a footballing nation, both in the world. We have had Zambians playing in the Turkish League, which is very competitive now in the European context. Zambia has a football development plan, and Turkey has also a football development plan. They are actually aspiring to host the European Champions Cup, which we feel as Zambia and as Africa, I think it's long overdue for Turkey to host that. And so we and Turkey as a country have signed a memorandum of understanding on youth and sport. And within that context, we are working to work together with Turkey to see how we can help support each other in the development of youth football and also exchange of football technology, etc., etc. I'll be meeting the president of the Turkish Football Federation very soon to look at operationalizing that. Some of the biggest names in my country, in the world football, are also from my country. I come from a footballing family myself. On Saturday, we are launching the Jones Kirengi soccer foundation, Jones Kirengi Foundation. My brother used to play for the national team, and therefore he's late, and we want to honor him so that we can contribute to. So within that spirit, we are saying that then we have had discussions with the Football Association of Zambia to see how Turkey and Zambia could work together. It will be important to see the Turkish national team travel to Zambia to go and play a friendly with our national team on important days, because with us from our country, we believe that the relationship is not between states. It's not a state-to-state relationship. We are working beyond that. The state is only a framework. It has to be people-to-people diplomacy. People must interact, people must meet. Turkish and Zambians must know each other, and the youth must know each other, because these are the future generation that will shape the world. And they must know why is Turkey playing such a critical role in international peace and security, and why is Zambia so stable. When you bring that value together, our future generation will never fight, because they know all their colleagues in Turkey during that time, and these ones know all their colleagues in Zambia during that time, and those ones know their colleagues in Rwanda during that time. So you can't go and argue with people you've been to. The exchange itself creates that human bond which builds a nation. And so football is one key element of our foreign policy, and in the next 3-4 months, we must be seeing a lot of development cooperation. Cooperation in football with Turkey. That MOU on youth and sport has already been signed by the two countries, and the core driver and the core issue is football development. And so football development is also a development process, and it's part of our foreign policy.
Mr. Ambassador, as one of the leaders of our continent, do you have any message you would tell the African youth or African people in general?
I think the message is that the African youth must believe in Africa. There is no country as continent as sweet as Africa today. Africa has suffered, but in every development process, you must have challenges in order to overcome. Even when you are building your own house, sometimes you sleep outside in order to build a house that will give you a lifelong comfort. When you are building a road, you have to leave that road and they make a dust road in the bush you can use for 3-4 months. And so for every development and improvement that comes, it comes with a lot of challenges. And I think we have reached as a continent, we have overcome our challenges. We have understood that whatever we do on the continent, we must do it for the best interest of the youth. And that's why last year, Africa was commemorating its focus on the youth, demographic dividend, by investing in the youth. And I think President Kagame was the chair of the union at that time, and he did great work. He's an inspirational leader himself, so he relates very well with the youth. Same with my president, he relates very well with the youth. So the focus is on the youth, and youth must know that Africa is a future. We have enough space to do all the development. The trains they want, we are doing. The airports they want, we are doing. The internet, now you can watch Netflix in Africa. And so we have the optic fiber network working on. We have road connectivity. Collectively, we have the continental free trade area and so forth. And so while others are struggling, we are now settling down. And I think Miriam Makeba says this in her song, it's time for Africa. And so we must believe in Africa and cooperate with those that have a similar mind like us to enjoy a win-win situation with Africa.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador, for welcoming us to the Zambian land in Turkey, in Ankara. We really do appreciate your time.
I want to also to thank you and the entire team. We wish you the very best, and you are taking out what Africa is in these spaces, and I think it's a unique assignment you are doing. The people out there need to know what we are doing. They must know we don't sleep, because they always believe diplomats, we only drink tea. We don't even drink that tea because we are thinking of the youth, and so we are doing everything possible. I wish you God's guidance, and we are available as a country to render any support that you need. And for me as ambassador coming from that far end of Africa, it would be nice to see the national TV also next time. On the screens of our television sets that side of the region. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching us. We'll keep you posted. Stay tuned.